Hi, UTMTV. I'm here with Gilbert, who is our president of the UTMSU, and we are going to ask him some questions about the drop fees parade that happened yesterday, February 1st. So, Gilbert, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling wonderful. However, my voice is gone, but I'm very hopeful that the demonstration would have made a powerful impact. I'm sure that it did, and I'm looking forward to the results that should come with that.
So, as I understand, you were parading so that you could fight so that fees could be dropped. So, what exactly is it that you were fighting for?
Well, one of the problems that number of students are facing is that education has become a serious concern, and that is not completely accessible, is not completely affordable for many students across the country. We're approaching about $15 billion in student debt. Here in Ontario alone, Ontario students have almost $7 billion in debt. In Ontario, we have the largest classes. We have the lowest per student funding and the highest tuition fees. So it seems as if there's been a loss in priority within the province for education to be completely affordable. And there's a lot of disagreements with the grant that was released recently. Many students, almost 2/3 of students, were not included in that grant, which is highly problematic. So this day of action was actually a national appeal for education, whereby students, not just in Ontario, but all across the country, came together to say one thing, which is education is a right. Education should not be a business. Education should not be a mortgage, and it should not be a death sentence. And that's what students are feeling. So we want it to be a national, a federal priority, not just a provincial responsibility.
I loved the energy of the students and the determination of all of them there, kind of making it clear to everyone that students do care about education and that we do care about what's going on in the government, and we do like holding our government accountable for any wrongdoings or anything that they promise us. We try to make sure that they keep their promises.
As I understand, you gave out T-shirts and free food, and you have electronic mics and paints, and there's big flag on the. Do you know how much it costs for the T-shirts and all the costs associated with hosting this day?
Yeah, so most of the costs were actually covered not by UTMSU, but actually centrally through the Canadian Federation of Students. So the Canadian Federation of Students has several unions that are a part or that are members of the Canadian Federation of Students. And of those unions, collectively, it represents about 600,000 students. There's a very minimal membership fee that each student pays via their union to the Canadian Federation of Students. Those monies are pooled, and those monies are used for the provision of services as well as campaigns. Some of these services, for example, would be the websites that many unions have, or would be the handbook service that you see many unions have, or the discounted Raptor tickets that many students have, and the list goes on. In terms of campaigns, the No Means No campaign, the anti-racism campaign, the anti-Islamophobia campaign, and of course the Drop Fees campaign. So the cost of the busing, the cost of the flyers, most of that was paid for by the Canadian Federation of Students. From the local perspective, we invested, I think, approximately $1,500 into the campaign, which is pretty modest for the amount of students that participated, the awareness that was actually driven by the campaign, and the attention that was generated through media and other avenues.
Yes.
Sure, reciprocate, essentially duplicate that answer, which is that the passion was truly inspiring, and everyone was hopeful, and again, hope is what keeps us alive and moving. And I also saw our students, speaking up, which is what I love to see. There's nothing more hurtful than complacency, and I saw them, definitely expressing themselves and articulately expressing that they're unhappy with the state of education. So the energy, the passion, the refusal to be complacent was truly something becoming of university students and community members who are here to ensure that not just this generation, but the next generation has a country that they would love to live in.
Okay. So, do you think that you will be effective in bringing change?
Yeah, I do. I really truly believe that this did have a huge impact on students' lives and also on the government as well. Just seeing so many students out in the streets puts pressure on the government to comply with the students' needs and to make sure that the students' needs are being met. If you see with the Take It Over campaign that happened a few months ago, a lot of people saw that it was effective because it put education on the agenda of almost every political party. So we see that change is being made and that the Liberal government, the Conservative government, and NDP are putting education on their agenda. And that's one step forward, and hopefully it keeps taking those steps forward in the future as well.
How many students approximately showed up for the event?
So we had about 200 students who came, who met up at the student center. We went down together on the buses provided. However, there were a number of students who, from UTM who actually met up with us at the day of action at Queen's Park via the shuttle bus or other means, and we found that approximately, I'd say 250 UTM students who would have come, 250 to 300. But in aggregate, there was easily well above 1,000 students at the actual day of action.
Okay. Of those 1,000 students, do you think that we will be able to effectively bring change from what happened yesterday?
Well, the way I understand, the relationship between the government and citizens and residents is simple. The persons are elected to represent your interests, and if there is a problem that exists, if what you're getting from the government is different from what you need and what you want, there appears to be a communication breakdown. So how effective, how much more effective would it be if we communicated with one voice as a community? And that's why this campaign grew from a provincial level to a national level. We had every single province participating. There were students, there were community members, not just students, but also community members involved. And we were speaking in unison simultaneously about one thing. So I think that's representative of speaking together on this issue, and that should have a powerful, relay a powerful message to the government.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and another thing is, do you think that this will, because you've had this in February this year, last year it was in November, and normally it happens in November.
Mm-hmm.
So will this be happening every year, that we will have one in November and one in February?
I don't think it'll be twice every year, twice every school year, but I think it's a great idea to have it every year to show the government that we don't give up. I preferred November, but February was great too. We had a great turnout. The weather was nice, so the weather was on our side, which is great. I don't know what Gilbert thinks about that.
Sure. So I think that the reason that February was chosen is because the campaign grew. It grew in scope. And that's what we're all about at UTMSU and the students, about growing and progress. And we saw it grow from a provincial campaign to a national campaign. When every province is involved, there's heightened need to coordinate. And February was seen as the date that's feasible for everyone to participate. So if it's to continue on a national level, then I would definitely say February is a good expectation. However, it's not just about the rally. It's about everything that happens before the rally. It's about the conversations. It's about the one-on-ones. It's about the awareness and the involvement of everyday students that really matters. So we encourage that not just for particular events, but throughout the year. And there's actually a Ministry of Education and Outreach of UTMSU that has a watchful eye over different educational policies continually and will respond if any educational policy comes out that is harmful to students. And just the same, we'll also complement any educational policies that are a benefit.
Do you have any message that you would like to give the students, and say anything in particular about student spirit?
Yeah, I definitely think that UTM students are highly intelligent, are highly driven, and have an abundance of potential. I just encourage everyone to believe in yourself, to believe in your classmate, to believe in your fellow community member, to believe in your country, and to dare to push boundaries and to dare to make every place that you encounter a better one, to believe and to stay inspired and to get involved. I know all of you are geniuses and must excel at your academics, but also challenge you to find room in your schedule to even in a small way, better the life of someone else. So the UTMSU is open to you. We have open door policy, and your student union is just as powerful as what you make it to be. So I encourage you to continue to be the fuel of the student movement and to get involved.
Okay, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you. Have a good day.